I'm going to be honest with you about something. I have no clue what I am doing. I have no clue what I'm going to do and what I'm doing right now and what's going to happen to me in the next 5, 10, and the rest of my life. Not at all. Like, it's not in the same way that these people online have their lives set out. They have their 5-year plans, they have their university and then their job set up and then this and then that and then blah 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 and it's all done. They have their morning routines and they have their very confident takes on exactly how their life is going to be structured and how it's optimized for that structure to be lived out the fullest. It's how they're going to execute the rest of their existence. I don't have that, and I don't think I've ever had anything close to that remotely. And for a long time, I thought that meant that something was wrong with me, like specifically. I thought that no one else around me had the same issue. I thought that every single other person knew what they wanted to be and what they wanted to do, and that everyone had received some kind of instruction manual in their life that I had somehow missed out on. But I think realistically that they didn't, and nobody did, and the manual just doesn't exist. I think 90% of people lie about what they're doing in their life, or lie about knowing that they have everything to do, and the other 10% are just aware of the fact that they don't know what they want to do. Maybe there is a small minority who know what they want to do, but I just don't think it's feasible to plan out the rest of your life based on everything that has already happened to you so far. And again, I think it's worth me making this video and saying it out loud, because I've not heard many other people, if anyone else, say this out loud. There's now one particular kind of person that I want to talk to on this topic. There's someone who's still watching this video because they related completely to that intro. And it's that one kind of person who has worked genuinely so hard on something. Maybe it was a project. Maybe it's me like myself, with this YouTube channel. Maybe it's something in school for them. Maybe it's a business. Maybe it's anything creative that they believed in. And they watched it go nowhere. They put in hours and hours and literal days and months of effort and so much work just for it to do nothing for them. And they put so much of their actual existence, they put something real in and they got nothing real back from it that looked like progress at all. That person who's sitting with that quiet, uncomfortable feeling that maybe they're doing it wrong or maybe they're not cut out for it, that is the exact person I want to be talking to, and that's the exact person who I think needs to listen to this video. And if you're hearing that and that kind of registers in your mind, oh wow, that's you, then I really think you need to understand that no one else has their life planned just the way that you think that you have to have your life planned. I think that life is full of experimentation, and if you don't experiment, then you'll never know. I think there's no feasible reason for you not to fail. And I was going to make a video on that, just a whole video on the topic of why you should not be afraid of failure, but I think everybody knows that. Everybody knows that you don't need to be afraid of failure, but nobody actually engages with that idea. Nobody goes outside and nobody actually acts upon that idea and ends up failing. I feel like I'm one of the only people I know who's failing so much. I fail every day. I'm posting so many of these videos, I'm applying to so many different jobs, I'm doing all this and all that, and everything just results in a failure. I don't see the results of my effort. But I think there's something quite beautiful in that, because if I wasn't failing, then I don't think I'd ever be where I was right now. Just the one thing I want to tell you is that don't think everything was a mistake from the beginning, because everything you have done leading up to this very moment right now has had its own place in your life for a reason. But then there's the other archetype, there's the other person that I want to talk to, the other person I want to reach out to. Someone who never even got to choose what they were actually working towards or what they were working hard for. Someone whose parents set them a plan, someone whose the society built a structure that they had to follow. Someone who's partaking a degree or partaking in a career, or they're following a specific structure or a specific path that the future was meant to set out for them. And there's someone who's followed it or is still following it or has recently broke off from it and doesn't yet know what is meant to come next. Now that person who built someone else's version of a actual life for long enough that they cannot quite remember what their own life was meant to feel like or what their own version was before everything of this started. That is the person that I need to speak to as well, because I think these two archetypes that I've just described, I think they're two quite common tropes for most people nowadays, but people just don't know how to deal with it. And both of those people, in my opinion, are the same person, just at different points of the same confusion. And the confusion is not a sign that something has gone wrong, but instead it's just what it actually feels like to be at the beginning of something that's about to be real. Now, here's what I've actually noticed from looking at the people around me, and even just from myself. The people who seem the most certain, the people who project the most confidence and know that they're going to succeed and they know where they're going and why they're doing it, are almost always the people who have never actually figured something out. They're usually just the people who stopped asking questions in life, and they stopped asking questions early enough to the point where the certainty filled in where the doubt was meant to be. In my opinion, that is not wisdom. Instead, what that is just a different kind of lost with better packaging, with a better PR team, just a better outlook. And I'm not saying that you have to not be confident, because confidence is one of the biggest factors of the success. But the people who are genuinely building something, the people who are creative, the people who have ideas, the people who are in the middle of figuring out their life, almost always from the outside look like they don't know what they are doing. They look like they're just doing this project and that project, and they look like they're going crazy with ideas. And the whole reason is because they don't know what they're doing. I think nobody knows completely what they want to do in life, but the people who look crazy are simply looking crazy because they are trying to work it out as they go along, instead of trying to work everything out and then start doing it. The only honest way to figure things out is to actually try them first. If you don't try them, then you have no way to know what the outcome will be, and then you have no way to respond to the outcome because you don't know what it's going to be. The people who hypothesize, the people who go, okay, well, if I do this and this is the output, then I'm going to do this, or if this is the output, then I'm going to do this, they will never actually succeed at all, because they have no clue what the outcome is going to be until they actually act upon it. Now, the process of success looks nothing like that clean retrospective version that the people try and present to you, that maybe people on social media, maybe your parents, maybe teachers, maybe just society as a whole tries to represent to you as a hierarchy. It does not look clean. As a matter of fact, it looks the complete opposite. It's raw, it's unfiltered. The whole point of it is that it does not work first, and then it does not work again, and then it does not work again, and then it does not work again. And I can keep going on about how it does not work, but eventually, once you keep trying more and more and more and more and more, one time it is bound to work. Oh my god, my mind is just racing with thoughts. You are not behind, in my opinion, if you think that you are. Like, it's if you're seeing this video, I think it's a pretty indicative sign that you aren't behind, because 99.999% of people will not see this video, and then 99% of the people who will see this video won't click on it, and then you are probably part of the very, 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 very minute amount of people who understand what I'm trying to get at. I think instead of being behind, you're simply in the part of the process that just doesn't look like progress yet. Now, myself, I spent a long time thinking about how to figure my things out before I started it. This YouTube channel, I spent so long contemplating actually even starting it, because, okay, what if people judge me, blah, 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 blah. There's so many excuses that I could just list off, bang, bang, bang. But I'm not going to. Once I figured out that starting was the key to figuring things out, I realized that the clarity does not come before the work, and it comes from the work. It comes in retrospect, from showing up and trying and failing and doing things, just actually acting upon things and being wrong about most of them, and then less wrong about some of the others, and then gradually getting more and more right the more I go along. That is how you learn. That's just the process of learning. The accumulation of attempts is the way you lead to success, not the accumulation of knowledge always. There is no shortcut to action. There is no amount of planning or studying or thinking or consuming of other people's content or other people's parts, other people's books, anything like that can shortcut you to actually doing the work. There is no substitute for actually doing the work. I'm failing for synonyms here, because there is no specific education that you can attain in order to skip the action. There's nothing you can do to avoid that. The action is inevitable. Finding out what happens only comes from doing the thing that leads to finding out what happens. What that means now, however, is that the confusion that you are sitting in is not the obstacle itself, but instead it is the beginning of the process. And if your parents pushed you towards something that was never actually yours, going back to that topic, that archetype, then I just want to say something about that too, because I'm in quite a similar boat. I think it does deserve to be said directly to someone who is suffering from that. You are allowed to put it down. You are allowed to say no, as painful and as ephemeral as it feels. It doesn't have to be a big dramatic rejection. It doesn't have to be a rejection of everything that they wanted for you or every single thing that they planned out for you. But it just has to be like an honest acknowledgement that the life they planned for you was planned by people who loved you, but they didn't know you well enough to plan it for you. You are the only one living your own life. There is no one else who can live your own life. You're the only one in your own shoes. It's not a criticism to tell them that they don't know you well enough, or that they haven't lived your life well enough to tell you what to do with it. It's just true. It's just genuine facts. Like it is undeniably the truth. Nobody can know what somebody else's particular hunger or what somebody else's particular necessity to drive towards is. Nobody can map from the outside what will make another person feel like they're alive in the same way that that person themselves can, or in the same way that actually matters. That knowledge will only, and I emphasize this, will only ever come from the inside. It will only ever come from you yourself. And that only ever comes from when you sit down with yourself. You only figure it out when you actually sit with the question of what you actually want, after so many years of following someone else's guide or someone else's answer. And it may leave you feeling confused, but that confusion is not emptiness. Don't get that mixed up, because that confusion is actually the first honest thing that you've ever felt in a long time. Because if you think about it, somebody else planning your entire life for you, telling you to do this and you do that, telling you to do this and you do that. So one time when you feel confused, you actually have to figure out what you're going to do for yourself this time. Does that, if it makes sense, it makes sense, right? Because if it doesn't make sense, you are the one who has to solve it. If it makes sense, it's already been solved for you. So I think that confusion, that tension, that genuine void in your mind of what to do is the thing you should currently be chasing if your entire life has been set by other people's boundaries. All it really means is that the real question has finally been asked of you. So where I land on all of this, that's it. This is here. Right now, I think that nobody has a clue what they are doing. I think that is a fact. Again, at the start, 90% of people, blah, blah, blah. 10% of people, blah, blah, blah. And maybe there's that 1% of people who know what they're doing. But I just don't think it's feasible for people to plan out their whole lives just based on their current experience levels. And when I mean nobody, I mean literally nobody as well. I mean not the people who look like they have everything planned, and not the people who have the platforms, who have the followers, the people who have the social media accounts which show everyone their entire life planned out. Not even the people who have the credentials to say that they live an organized life. I don't have a clue. I have zero fucking idea. I plan to go traveling soon, but that's just because I want to escape from what I have an idea of. I just want to get rid of that idea in my mind that I have to start working soon. I have to seek some higher sort of education because my parents want me to. The only point of trying to figure out what you want to do with your life is figuring out what you want to do right now or what you want to do tomorrow. Because another tomorrow will always come, and that is just a fact. We are all, however, to a varying degree, making it up as we go, and hoping the attempts that we put in and the attempts that we accumulate turn into something meaningful, or turn into something that eventually will make sense to you. Now, the difference between the people who get somewhere and the people who don't get anywhere, or the people who, think they have their life planned but end up not achieving anything, is not that the one group figured everything out and knew what they had to do and the other group didn't, but instead it's that one group just kept going through all of the confusion for so long that eventually it was bound that they had to succeed. If they kept going through that confusion and they kept trying to sort it, it's like a big puzzle, right? If you keep looking through that confusion, eventually the clarity to solve the puzzle will arrive. And that is it. That's just the whole concept. No one has anything planned. You don't need to have anything planned. You don't need to have anything in your life figured out at all. All you have to do is to continue going until eventually you feel like you're in the right place.